Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen.
And I'm John Johnson.
And you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. The podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are, taking a big cynical bite out of superheroes. We're tackling a book that I don't think many of you would have heard of, but this is a book that's kind of like a lot of series that are coming out like now, and were coming out kind of in the 80s that were more cynical about superheroes and stuff. Things like The Boys now, you got that, where they're kind of, it's like people hating on superheroes.
Yeah.
And then in the 80s you had like The Watchmen and even Dark Knight Returns kind of stuff, like darker tone stuff. So this is a book called Brat Pack, and it is by Rick Veitch. He wrote and drew it and everything. And
it's not about John Hughes characters at all?
Not at all. I mean, it could be, because there's a lot of drug use and stuff. But yeah, there's definitely it's about the sidekicks of those like big superheroes that you might know. None of them are the same as superheroes you know, but they're definitely close enough that you can tell
they're like an ode to such and such.
Yes, and they're like to the nth degree of those characters. So. Yeah. This one, there's no real way to like settle into it, so we'll just get straight into it. But first off, I will say this is a black and white comic, which is kind of cool. It's definitely like an indie comic. I think it was put out by Tundra, who was so Kevin Eastman, one of the guys who made Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, started a comic book company called Tundra in the 90s. And this was one of the books that they published. So it was kind of like a cool kids publisher. And then he like overreached, and then it went bankrupt and all this stuff. So like it failed, but it has a lot of cool books that came out at the same, underneath it. So this was one of them. This is a very mature book. Like we said, from The Boys, comparing it to that. It is definitely, there's a lot of problematic stuff now, because this came out I think it's from 1990 is when this was written. I think it came out a little later than that, but it was definitely written in the 90s, early 90s. So there's a lot of problematic language, and there are things that would be problematic now. And then, I mean, they were problematic then too. Like these are things that were offensive at the time, and they're still offensive, even more so now, I think. And then there's a lot of concepts that are like creepy when you consider them in superhero context, for sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, we'll get into it.
And there's some pretty, like, as far as like, there's some graphic stuff in it too. Yeah. There's definitely graphic things on the page. Yeah. A lot of violence. There's a lot of sex. There's a lot of innuendo. Yeah. There's a lot of innuendo to stuff that's like pedophilia or things like that too. So it's creepy. There's some very creepy stuff.
So this is something. I thought this was funny. On the first page it says for Wortham, which I'm assuming that's for Frederick Wortham, the guy that made the Seduction of the Innocent book in the 50s, that made the Comics Code Authority happen, like the censorship of comics happen. Oh. So I'm assuming that's why he did it, to be like, fuck you. This is my uncensored book. But yeah, so it starts off and we see like there's this town and it's called Slumburg.
Good evening, Slumburg.
Yeah, and this whole thing is narrated by a radio DJ, and like this thing that's going on over the radio. It's very Dark Knight-ish, I thought, because Dark Knight, a lot of that storytelling is done over TV screens and newscasters, and this is all radio DJ call-in show or whatever, and what's been going on in the city Slumburg. And everything about this opening is like, it's just showing you the shittiest part of the town. Even like it goes by a meat market and all these chickens are hanging in the windows, but it's not just chickens hanging in the window. You see all their assholes. Like it's not even, it's just like everything about this city is terrible.
There's cars on fire.
Yeah, there's cars on fire. There's a lot of, just the place looks smoky and black and terrible, and it's basically New York in the 70s. So that's probably what he's going from. But I also should say, like, Rick Veitch at this time, I guess he had like pitched this idea to DC when he was working for DC, because he wrote Swamp Thing after Alan Moore. He wrote and drew it after Alan Moore. And so he had like a run that he was doing. He was in the middle of this run when he was coming up with this idea. He actually drew issues for Alan Moore as well, as part of Alan Moore's run. So he was actually talking to Alan Moore about this book, hey, look at this book I'm doing. What do you think about it, Alan? He's like, oh, that'd be cool. You should do this or that. And, oh, you could change this or make this thing. He's like, oh, that's a good idea. So like there was some input, I guess, between Alan Moore and him on this as well. And then something happened. Issue 88 of Swamp Thing was basically pulled. DC was like, we don't want to publish this. It's too whatever. I don't know, because we've never seen it. We've never read it. They just told him, we're not publishing this. And he's like, well, fuck you. And so he left the book. And then they published a different 88 with a different team. So I have no idea what was the issue in that book that got pulled. But because of that, he was like, oh, well, I'm not doing this book with DC, obviously, now. So that's why he then moved on to other
The first one to show Swamp Thing's actual green dog.
I don't think it was that. But at the time, I think Swamp Thing had like a kid. That was like right after he got pregnant, or Abby got pregnant from Swamp Thing. So, and I think the kid grew really fast. I think the child's name was Teffy, Tefe. And so, I don't know how you say it. I think it's how you say it, or Tefe or something. I don't know. And so, yeah, like they grew really fast, and they might have had the kid at that time. So I don't know what was going on. But anyway, that's besides the point. The main thing was, I think he brought back some of the things that he had pulled back to get it published at DC. Like, I don't think the characters were as representative as the DC characters, like stand-ins for those characters, as they are in this book that we see.
Yeah, because
they're very much like hitting on this stuff. And what's going on in this first couple pages is, they're showing how shitty the town is. The DJ's talking about, like, how about these sidekicks, huh? These guys suck. These, like, we call them the Brat Pack because everybody hates them in town, and we wish they would all die, huh? And there's like this guy that calls in and kind of brings this idea to this DJ, and the DJ is like, that's a great idea. Like, we should have a vote on who wants the Brat Pack dead. Like, let's call this number and vote. And the guy's like, yeah, that sounds, or actually the guy that's calling, he suggests it, but he's actually like, no, I like them. You shouldn't kill them. And he's like, no, I think that's a great idea. We'll have a vote. Yeah, we'll run with it and see like who's gonna or how many people vote to kill them and how many people vote to let them live. And it's just kind of like a joke to the DJ. But what he doesn't know is the guy who called in is actually a bad guy named Doctor Blasphemy. And he is setting up a trap to murder all these kids, these sidekicks. But we don't know that yet. It's kind of like a little bit later that gets revealed. But we see, they're talking about this, and we see like this kid. We see like the first Teen Titan, or this is kind of like the Teen Titans, by the way. Like, they're obviously analogs for those characters. The kids are the sidekicks, because there's like Robin basically, and his name is Chippy. Yeah, Chippy, the Robin character, and he like goes to this church to talk to a pastor, or like a priest, I guess. He's like, Father, I need to talk to you right now. Something's going on, or whatever. And the father's like, oh, would you like to confess or whatever? And he, like, basically they set this up where this Robin character is close to this priest. And then there's another kid that works, or that's like at the church, that wants to be a hero. And he kind of overhears that the priest knows Chippy. Yeah. And, oh, that's awesome. Like, I wish I could be like Chippy. I want to be a hero too. And, it's like they're setting up for him. And then, like, basically we find out that, like, there's the other Teen Titans are around here, or the Brat Pack, we'll call it. The other Brat Packs around here as well, besides that Robin character named Chippy. There's another guy on a skateboard. He's like a total 90s like
wild
superhero.
Boy.
But he's supposed to be, I think, like he's either supposed to be like Speedy from Green Arrow, like he's like the I guess it'd be the Red Arrow or something, like whatever. Who becomes the Red Arrow later, or he's supposed to be kind of like Impulse or one of the, or like a mix of the two.
Yeah,
kind of like Flash's little sidekick or something, you know. Like, but it's supposed to be like he's the radical one, but he's always drunk, and he's got like a floaty skateboard, like a Back to the Future skateboard from the second one, where he like floats around and flies all around, but he's always drunk.
But he's always like falling off of it. I like that too.
Yes. What was his name? Do you know what?
Yeah, it's Wild Boy.
Oh, Wild Boy. That's right.
That's like, yeah, that's legit his name.
Yeah. So his name is Wild Boy. It's very, very 90s, I thought. And they are looking for Doctor Blasphemy. It's like they heard, oh, someone's like someone's got explosives around here. We know, and we think it's Doctor Blasphemy. We've been looking for him. And so, while Chippy's in there, we see all the other heroes are kind of out here looking around. We're introduced to one of the other kids who doesn't look like a kid. I was like, oh, is this a kid? But he's like a giant steroid-induced child, I guess. And his name is Kid Vicious. And he's very patriotic. He's got a cowboy hat and a American flag shirt and pants and all this stuff. But yeah. Basically, he's like...
And a noose hanging from his waist.
We find out why that later. But...
Sorry, it was striking to me right away. I was like, is that a noose?
Yeah. And so he's like taking a piss on like a wall in an alley, and he's like having a hard time. And it's like, why? Like, what's wrong? We find out later why he's so like fucked up or whatever. And then we find there's like 4 main kid superheroes. We find the last one... is what's her name?
Luna,
and she's supposed to be kind of like, I guess, Wonder Woman's or would be Wonder Woman's
I guess
Wonder Girl, I guess. So but she's like in a very skin tight revealing shirt or outfit where like it kind of looks like, you know, like a Starfire outfit or something.
And she's very like kind of like overly sexualized, but then she's like, don't look at me like that. Like,
yeah. She's like, don't stare at me while I'm doing stuff or whatever. But, and so they're looking for this, Doctor Blasphemy. They all get in a fight and everything. And dude, the Robin character is so fucked up. He's in like literally like underwear, and then he's got like a mesh shirt on, like a Said Fred shirt on. Like that's what he wears, and then his little Robin mask. So like it's very weird. They all kind of refer to him as like they all basically say that he's like the least liked in the group, and also they like make fun of him for being basically they call him their top, they call the guys they work for or whatever, the tops, like the superheroes they call them their tops.
Their tops, yeah.
Like literally, like they fuck you or whatever. So they make fun of Robin for being literally, the bottom of the mink or whatever. Like he gets fucked by this character called the Mink, who's like their Batman, and so they make fun of him for that and whatnot. But they're looking for this bomb from Doctor Blasphemy. And while they're like fucking with Chippy, they're looking around. They see They see Doctor Blasphemy. There's a radio that appears on top of a bell tower, and then all of a sudden it says like they hear it and they're like, "What the fuck is that?" And they look up and they see Doctor Blasphemy's up there, and it's like, they hear everybody say, "We hate these kids. We hope they die." And like, how many people want to see him die? And everybody's like, yeah, like they're all voting.
Yeah, like, people are calling him like, yeah, I hate them.
Yeah, I wish they would fucking die, man. They're losers and all this stuff.
And Doctor Blasphemy was appearance, a very weird looking character. It's like, yeah, he kind of looks like a black gimp suit.
Yeah, he's got a gimp suit, but the zipper is vertical on his mouth.
Yeah.
So when he I guess he talks, he sticks his tongue out from the zipper. It's very creepy and weird.
Very. And it's also got it looks like it has a tail on the suit too. And and the front of the suit has like what looks like would be a 4-letter expletive, but all taken out with symbols, like looks like an @ symbol.
I can't remember what that's called. That's called something specific. But like when you put when you take a swear word and put it like apostrophes and shit, or the exclamation marks and stuff in place of it. Can't remember what that's called in English, but whatever. So he's like, oh, everybody hates you, don't you know? And they're like, no, they don't. And then he's like, yes, they do. Listen to it. And they're like, no, that's like a fake radio program. And then he's like, no, look, you guys even like failed your tops. I've already captured them. And look, I have the Mink's car. And they show the Mink mobile or whatever. And it's sitting in an alley. And they're like, what? How did he get that? And they like go to it. And they're pretty dumb because they're like Doctor Blasphemy's like, you should check out the trunk.
Yeah, maybe one of them's tied up in there.
Yeah, and they're like, no, I guess we have to save him, you know. And they like go to the thing, and Chippy's like, wait, like Mink wouldn't like ever let his car get taken. Like I guarantee this is a trap. And they're like, shut up, Chippy.
You don't know.
Yeah, you loser. And so yeah, definitely they throw him in a trash can, and then they open the trunk, which of course has explosives.
It's full of dynamite and explosives,
and it blows up, and all of them die immediately, except Chippy, who was in a trash can, who burns horribly.
Yeah, burn beyond almost beyond.
We don't even know how he lived because he's so burned. He's basically like, he looks like the Crypt Keeper or something.
Yeah, he's very zombie-esque
through most of the rest of the comic. So he can not talk, like his skin's been burned off of his face and mouth. So yeah, but that's where this one kind of starts. And it doesn't let up pretty much the rest of the comic. Like, this is just the beginning of how fucked up this gets. They kill these kids. The whole town wanted these kids dead. Yeah. This is obviously an allusion to, I don't know if you know, I'm sure I think you do, when DC killed off Jason Todd.
Jason Todd, yeah.
So they literally had a call-in number service where they're like, should Jason Todd live or die? And everybody was like, fucking kill that kid.
Yeah.
We hate this kid. And then, they did it, and it was like, some people were like, this is like the death of innocence in DC Comics or whatever.
I like that Doctor Blasphemy calls back into the radio station. He's like, hey, I just wanted to double check, how did everybody vote?
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, good, they all voted to kill him. Good, because I just killed him. I'm Doctor Blasphemy.
I just murdered him. And then then all of a sudden he's like, what? That's weird. And then it's like the next day, and then everybody in town is very oh my God, I can't believe they're dead. We love them. And then everybody's mad at the radio host, and they keep calling him, being like, you should be fired for what you did. And, how dare you make those kids, get killed or whatever. Just all because of you that these kids are dead. We loved them. And in the meanwhile, they had all voted for all of them to die. And we find out that we finally kind of meet all the other, this is a fucked up part too. I'll meet all the tops of these characters. So the tops of these characters. So for Chippy's top is named the Mink.
The Mink. And I love his cape. It's like a mink cape.
It's made of mink.
Yeah. And there's tails all over it. And then his mask has mink tiny ears. And then coming down onto his face, kind of like the Batman.
Over his nose.
It goes over his nose. Face. The mink, there's a little mink. It's horrible.
Yeah, it's he's called the Mink, but it's if Batman had a cape of bats.
Of bats, yeah.
Where that he's skinned or whatever. So it's super fucked up. Then there's the Moon. What is it? Moon Mistress?
Moon Mistress.
Moon Mistress, who's like the Wonder Woman top, and then we have Judge and Jury, who is
Judge Jury.
Or Judge Jury. Sorry, Judge Jury, who's they said I read in the essay at the end of this. He said well, it's kind of like the ultra patriotic character, so Captain America or something, but that's not a DC character. So. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it would be the Superman or something for DC, but yeah. And then the last one is, what was the last guy's name?
King Rad.
King Rad, who is very much supposed to be, or at least I felt it, Oliver Queen. He was supposed to be Oliver Queen, maybe a Tony Stark Oliver Queen mix, because he's an alcoholic too. But I think there are issues or storylines in Green Arrow where he is an alcoholic, or he definitely drinks a lot and stuff.
I remember
because he's a playboy or whatever. So
I was gonna say, I even remember in the Dark Knight when he comes to see Bruce, he's like, "Yeah, pour me one of those."
Yeah, for sure. He's supposed to be the more never grown up version of Batman kind of thing. So
and they're all wild. Judge Jury is dressed in all black, like a
judge.
Judge's cape.
Yeah.
Exactly. Except he also has a black hood, and the black hood is tall and pointy Very similar to a KKK hood,
but black. And then
Moon Mistress is kind of like spacey looking a little. It's like,
yeah, she's weird. She's got all these like parts on her. She's like half, yeah, like I don't even know how to describe her. She's like half Big Barda, half Wonder Woman, half like all kind of amalgamation of like all the different armors of, you know, different female character archetypes
and a big
and
afro.
Stuff. Yeah, she's got like a weird. It's not an afro because she's white, but like she's like a giant hair, like like a beehive almost of hair, or like a Bride of Frankenstein style hair or something, you know.
Okay,
like,
I can see that more.
Yeah, and but yeah, they show up to the funeral, obviously because it's their kids or whatever. Their bottoms, I guess we'll call them.
They're Brat Pack.
It's so messed up, and and then like as they come in, someone like drops one of the caskets, and you see just like all these different wrapped body parts, like obviously the head and the leg and the arm and the torso, just fall out of this coffin. So there's not even like bodies really that like are there in the coffins. It's just like pieces of these kids that they found, and so what we find out is that this team of superheroes goes up to after this funeral. They go to the vicar or the priest or whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, he's the pastor from before. His name is Pastor John.
Oh, is he actually a pastor? Okay, That's weird because he's in like priest robes or whatever, and it's like seems like a Catholic church or something. But I don't know. Do they call them pastors?
They do.
They do.
Yep.
I thought they were called priests if it was Catholic.
Priest pastor.
Fuck if I know. All right. Anyway, so anyway, it turns out, and this is fucked up too, that basically they just used this priest or this pastor to pick children for him, to be their, you know, their sidekicks or whatever. So, you know, the Mink comes in. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna need a new batch," and basically they like make him pick kids, and like the priest has an issue with this. He's like, "No, I don't want to do it anymore." But they're like, "Too bad. Like, if you don't do it, we could kill you and find someone else to do it, or go to an orphanage, or go anywhere we want to find a kid." These kids want to be, you know, our partners until they're our partners, and then they find out exactly what that means and everything. So, but yeah, I thought this was like creepy that they go to like a fucking priest, you know, to get kids, and then we see the one kid. I don't remember his name.
Cody.
But like,
Cody.
He's like the kid that wanted to be Chippy, you know, like he heard Chippy talking. He's like, "I want to be a hero too." And so like they're saying like, we need a kid with real gumption. And so like he actually goes to the priest later after they leave, and he's like, "I want to be like, let me be one. I want to be one." And then like the Mink overhears it, and he's like, "Yeah, let him be one. He's so young and supple," and like it's so fucking creepy.
So fucking creepy.
Yeah, but then another fucking creepy thing happens, which is we find out that the Robin, and we already kind of knew this because we saw him kind of get out of that trash can, but the Chippy that was supposed to have been blown up, he's not dead.
Yeah, he wasn't in a coffin apparently,
and he actually like got the like costumes of the other characters that have been blown up and stuff, and the skateboard or like air surfboard or whatever that's Wild Child had. And he's just like flying around, and he goes to like the bell tower of this church just to like recover, I guess. You know?
Yeah,
and,
that's what I
like,
assumed. It was
haunt the bell tower with noise. Like you just hear like, yeah, because he can't even talk or anything. But yeah, so yeah, and then we get like a kind of dive into each of these these older characters' lives,
heroes.
Yeah, the heroes' lives. So we see exactly how they live. We see like King Rad has like a mansion. He's got kind of more of a Batcave setup than the Mink does necessarily, but he's even got like an Alfred and stuff.
Yeah,
and like basically he's just always drinking. You know, he's always drunk. He's just always, you know, he's like he's got all these gadgets and stuff. He hasn't grown up yet. He's just like he's like a college kid, but he's 50. It's kind of like Van Wilder or something. Like he just never grew up. He's the machine or whatever. He's the machine of superheroes. So, but yeah. And then we see like, just basically like a day in the life of, these people. So, once the kids get picked, we see that like one's like a kid that lived in a house and he's poor and like his mom hates him and he's got brothers and sisters and like she's always like, get the fuck out of here and go buy some milk, Tommy, or whatever his name. I don't even know what his name is, but like he's the kid that ends up being Kid Vicious. Or no, is he Kid Vicious or no, he's not Kid Vicious. He's the new Wild Child.
He's the new Wild Boy.
So like he gets Wild Boy. So sorry, Wild Child's a different character from another 90s comic. Wild Boy. It's all the same. So
yeah.
But yeah, so we see like this kid gets picked by King Rad, and then we see there's like another girl who gets picked, and like they're all happy that they got picked. She's going to be the new Luna, and then there's this kid this is the weird kid. He's like a rich kid who's got like he's got like a maid that he like has who's Asian. And like basically for him it's just like his dad is out of the picture. His dad's like rich, but he's never there for the kid. So this kid is like lonely, doesn't have a parent or anything. His only friend is like this Asian cleaning lady that works at his house. But the weird thing is like he starts getting into like checking out like Nazi books and stuff in the library on his own, and then he gets picked up to be I guess it was the judge jury sidekick who's Kid Vicious. And so he gets picked up for that, and then we see what happens, how you get made into that character. And what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say, yeah, like he was really weird because he also like he kind of is coming off. He's like that kind of he's blonde hair, blue eye kind of character, and then the Nazi paraphernalia was weird, and then like the thing with the Asian maid. I mean, it looked like she's probably around the same age.
Yeah.
And like she sees that he's sad, and so she's kind of like trying to be nice and befriend him a little. I just thought this was an interesting story point.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay.
Yeah, she's like, want to come over to my house?
And he's like, okay. And they get right as they're getting there, he's like, hey, I got a condom. Like we were here.
Not only that, he's like, I put on a condom, so like, don't worry, we're safe.
Yeah, I put it on, but I put it on before.
So he's been wearing
the condom
before they got to the house. She's like, why would we be safe? Well, we're not having sex.
Yeah.
Like,
and she opens the door and she's like, I just brought you over.
Here.
My family's here. We're gonna have like a big dinner, and I thought you might like to have company.
I have misread this situation. But that reminded me, there's like a scene in Extras or whatever where Daniel Radcliffe from Harry Potter's like, it's like, I have a condom. It was just like that, and it's like it's out of the wrapper, and he's like, for in case things happen, I have a Johnny. Like, it's just ridiculous. So yeah, basically this kid, he's an idiot, but he's lost because he doesn't have a parent that cares about him. Then we see like the girl seems to have like the most stable family. But basically, all these kids say like, "Oh yeah, we got accepted to go to this camp, this summer camp, and it's very cool. And don't worry about it; it'll be fine." So they go to meet their tops, I guess, and we find out right away, like right as they meet their tops, all of their parents have been murdered in like horrible, mysterious ways.
Yep.
And it's all by Doctor Blasphemy. Just like the one kid whose dad is never there. He reads in the newspaper the next day after he, meets his top and goes to stay with him that like, this man and his ex-wife got murdered by the lover or, the wife's lover. And like, it's like, that's my dad. And then you see basically everybody who's got a family, like in this, everybody gets murdered.
The only one who didn't have before was the kid from the church, Cody. Right. He was already an orphan.
Yeah.
So that was again that kind of call back to Robin. Like,
right.
Oh yeah, come into my manor, and like the Minx alter ego is like Michael's or it was very. I'm trying to remember his name. I didn't write down that Malcolm.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was like, hello, I'm Malcolm. Welcome to my manor. And very, very much like over the top.
And everything about it, he's got like all these naked women around. And he's like, these are just for the press.
Oh yeah,
it
was kind of almost like the Playboy Hugh.
Yeah, he was like Hugh Hefner more than Bruce Wayne. then he had like all these naked women around, and he's like, "Do you like what you see, Tommy?" And he's like, "Well, don't bother them. Like they're just here for like the cameras when they take pictures." And then he like, oh man, this is so creepy. But like basically, this is how the mink approaches this kid. He's like, "Let me look at you. The profile's right. The mouth is perfect. Now I need to know all about you." Like, it's just like really creepy the way he's talking to him. Basically, you're like, and he's like licking his lips, and it's just fucking really creepy. I thought the weirdest one. Well, I should. They're all weird.
They're
right?
all weird. Yeah.
Like basically, right away, like King Rad's like, "Hey, like you want to learn about like cool cars and shit, kid? Yeah, look at my stuff. Also, like have some beer.
Yeah, have a drink.
Have some drinks." Because then we find out like the kid, you know, the original Wild Boy. Thank you. I was like, Wild, no, it's not Child. Wild Boy was an alcoholic, and they would make fun of him for that, or they would call it out all the time. But it was because fucking King Rad basically makes the kid drink with him all the time. And then we find out that Judge Jury is not a good person. He's very racist, he's
anti-Semitic.
He's basically, I'm gonna say, he's basically the drill sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, but like instead of trying to train he's not just saying that stuff to train them. He actually believes that stuff or whatever. So like, you know, he'd be like, "Teach your mommy and daddy ever teach you," like, but or like call him very derogatory words for gay people and stuff.
Yeah, like from here, there's no punches that are not pulled there, and it's full racial slurs and
he'll just beat the shit out of him and all this stuff. He makes him like crawl through glass to get his costume. He's like, "How bad do you want this, kid?" And he like has a line of glass he makes him crawl on to like I'm talking like, I don't know, 20 feet of glass to get to the costume. And when he gets to it, he's like, "You've earned it," you know, like, so it's just super fucked up. And then, like you said, the mink literally is totally going to fuck this kid. Like he's asking like, "So do you have girlfriends?" You know, like he's like, "No, I've never been with anybody." He's like, "You've never done anything with anyone?" He's like, "Oh, Cody, you're too good to be true." Like, just fucking creepy. Oh man. But the one I thought was the most creative out of all this was the woman. So
Moon
Mistress meets Luna in like a back alley, kind of like gives her like the rundown of like what it is to be her kind of thing, and then in the morning
she's like, "Go to this address."
Yeah, she's like, "Go to this address," and then in the morning the girl gets there, and it's so weird because like she goes to the house, she walks in, some lady that's like bald and like ugly and tits falling out, and
like naked,
like she's naked, but she looks like she's 80 years old or something.
It seemed like also maybe she was kind of, because there was a guy that came out of the apartment, so I couldn't tell, was it also saying like she was like
a
prostitute-ish?
I don't know.
It was weird
if they were suggesting that or not, but yeah, like right away she go. Yeah, I don't know if this guy was sleeping with her or whatever, but she like basically she goes into this house and she's like, "Hello," and we see like what we know of as Moon Mistress is like this. Well, you don't even know it's her. You can't even understand her because she's got like she doesn't have any teeth.
Yep, she's coughing. She's smoking a cigarette.
All this stuff. Like the house is ugly and terrible, and then like she's like, "Give me my teeth and like hand me this and that." And then as she's like putting these things in, then you realize, oh, that is Moon Mistress.
Yeah.
This like broken woman that's there, and like she has to like cinch up and like put on all these things, and then she's like, "Guess how old I am?" And the lady, she's like, "I look like I'm 50 or 60, huh? I'm 27 or whatever." And it's just that she's been so like abused and fucked up or whatever that like that's what's happened to her kind of thing. So and then we see like what every other character's had to go through to become a superhero as well. Like the worst one for sure. I mean, obviously like King Rad is like just making the kid drink a lot and stuff and turning him into that's bad. But like the Judge Jury is making the kid like between
Mink and Judge Jury, it's hard because Mink's like, "I'm gonna fuck you," and then Judge Jury's like, "Hey, crawl through this glass or like go through this brick wall.
Yeah, and you have to take steroids
and by the way, click, here's some steroid.
Yeah, and like if you don't take this, like you're gonna be weak, and we don't want you to be weak. And yeah, but like you see the Moon Mistress, like what she really looks like, and it's just sad more than like. It's just shocking, like holy shit! And then as she's putting on her armor, then all of a sudden she puts the makeup on, her face looks fine. Like she puts a corset on, and now that's who we saw the other day or whatever kind of thing. So it's like it's crazy. Then we also get the reveal like while Mink is showing his body off to little Cody, that he's all scarred up, like he's definitely been stabbed and shot and everything, and he hasn't died. So. These people, or at least it seems that at least the Mink is super powered. Like they're not dying easily. Obviously, Moon Mistress she's
been through a lot. Looks like maybe she's had a very hard time. Her face is all scarred and stuff too. So, we don't quite know exactly what their powers are. Also, they mentioned that there was another superhero before these ones. What was his name was the True Man. True Man. So he's supposed to be like the Superman. Yeah. Supposed to be like the Superman. And like they're like when the True Man was here, everything was like perfect. And then he left or something happened to him. Yeah.
And we had to pick up his slack. So like we're the humans that picked up their slack, but also we have powers somehow. They don't really go into that until later. But yeah, like we just get like the day-to-day of like the how these heroes start, or how they're like introducing these kids to being heroes kind of thing. So yeah, it just kind of, it's like that for a while. We get there, like they're becoming these kids.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about the teenage girl's costume is, or Luna, her costume is literally a spray.
No, it's like an organism.
That's what I mean. It's like she sprays it on and it just like covers her tits. It's just literally like it's not even like a fabric or anything. It's literally just like a nano organism that like covers her skin.
And it's only good for like 24 hours and then it goes away and she has to reapply. That's right.
So she's like always naked basically around people.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Which makes more sense why the other one was like, don't look at me.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so, we're just getting like this weird look at this, what these kids are going through.
The one kid's all steroided up. The one kid's super plastered and drunk. The one is like in skin tight underwear and like not
even underwear.
Yeah, not even, yeah.
They even say later on she gets pregnant because like, the suit doesn't block anything. So like if some guys got handsy or whatever with her, I can't remember if she got raped or if it was like she was dating some guy and they had sex in his costume and then the costume didn't do anything.
Yeah, so I think it was her boyfriend at the time.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, there's definitely sexual assault against her and Chippy.
And Chippy, very much so.
And so very fucked up stuff. And then we see them like go out for the first time, and like once they've achieved, like they kind of cut ahead a couple months, they've achieved their goals of becoming the sidekicks officially, and
now they're going on their first
night out. Yeah, so like we get to see like their Batmobile and their what their things are, and
they're fun. The Minx is like a flying kind of plane looking thing.
Yes.
I like Moon Mistresses because it looks like the old moon lander.
Yeah, like the Apollo lander,
yeah.
Whatever.
So that's kind of fun and it flies. But
the worst one.
I would say, and King Rad's is just like a souped up kind of like flying ship kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, the worst one. I cannot believe. I literally this is like a jaw drop for me for sure.
Yes.
Judge Jury
has a flying cross that bursts into flames.
Also bursts into
while he's flying it. So it's literally him on a flying burning cross. And they just stand on either side of the cross while it's burning underneath.
Oh my god.
So if you were like the bad guy or whatever that's getting chased by Judge Jury, you're just seeing this flaming cross follow you in the sky above you.
It's so horrible.
So fucked up. So yeah, but they just go out and they're just looking for crime. They you know, they look around, they bust a couple like, you know, people that look like they're loitering or whatever the fuck. They didn't even do anything.
It was funny because the people that they saw loitering right away, Mink's like, oh, those guys are escaped lunatics from whatever, and he's like automatically just like calling them like, oh yeah, those people are messed up in the head, so we definitely need to get them.
Yeah, and they just like go down there and like go back to the prison or whatever. You know, like they don't even like do anything wrong or anything. They're just walking. I don't know. It's like there's no like real established that these are the bad people or something. And then we also see like the old Chippy that's been living in the bell tower actually gets killed, or he gets like not killed, but like he gets basically Doctor Blasphemy finds him in the bell tower and is like, oh, you're still alive? He's like, how is that possible? And then like we find out that this Doctor Blasphemy has a power of his own, which is acid spit tongue, I guess. Thing. So he as he's talking, his spit like drips on Chippy's face and it like dissolves down his face.
Yeah.
His already fucked up burned face.
So, it basically starts to split his like head.
His head open, yeah. And then he like falls down and he's still alive after that too. Oh it's like, what the fuck? And then so like the kids are back in action and everybody's not really liking them as much as the old ones. Like basically the city's still like, nah, we don't like these new Brat Pack. Yeah. We like the old Brat Pack that died after we told them they should die. And you know,
I like all the heroes gathered around to like talking shit about him too. They're like, well, I don't know, we'll see if they work out. And the butler comes in and he's like, hey, you know, you've got it. What is he brings in something I don't remember.
Like it's like a teen magazine or something that says like how they're doing or how the public's receiving them and that kind of stuff. So, and it's got their comic too.
That's right. That was the comic. That's right there because they have like in their universe
their own comic,
their own merchandise.
Oh, and their Justice League's name is Black October. That's their, which is like, what's that from? I wonder what that's from.
I don't know,
but like it must be referencing something. I don't know. But basically.
They read their. That's what it was. Is that they were talking about that they don't know if the new kids are going to work out, but also, hey, by the way, have we like locked down our action figure deal? Like they're talking about.
They're like we need to make how sure they're going to make action figures get locked down.
And, how they're going to make their money, and then there's like, bring in the comic. Like maybe is there something that we should be doing or?
Yes, and so and then. We basically we always skip a couple months ahead every, like you could tell when every issue kind of stops and then begins a new one because there's like another radio
time jump,
radio time jump, and then we see that the preacher is not doing too well. He feels bad that he gave Cody over to the mink, and he's drinking a lot and whatnot, and basically. He calls the mink and Cody in like to talk to him. He's like, I need to talk to you. And he actually pulls a gun on the mink. It's an Uzi, which I thought was funny. But like he pulls an Uzi out of his garb, his priestly robe. Yeah, his priestly robe. And then shoots the mink like 40 times in the chest. And the mink is like, you think that's going to stop me? Then you don't know who the mink is. And then he just like kisses him and lets him live, which I thought was nice of the mink.
Yeah.
But yeah, like,
and he's like walking out of the building, blood everywhere, and you know, obviously a big shock to Chippy because he's like, wait a minute, I knew the mink had like been through stuff because he had scars, but like,
but I didn't know
he shot 40 times. Like, how is he still like walking around?
Yeah, and this is where we get we find out what happened, or like how basically he's got power. Why isn't he dead now? How did he get powers? So it turns out that when the what's his name? True Man was the only superhero. He was fucking not only the Mink's character as a man, but also
Moon
Mistress as her own. I don't even know if she was a superhero then or whatever. Was she a superhero?
Yeah, she was Moon Mistress.
Okay, she was still Moon Mistress. I don't think so because they were all. It was like before they were.
Or maybe that's that's how she.
Yes, basically that's how she gets powers. Is basically I think his semen.
His super seed, we'll call it.
Yes, gave her superpowers, and then the way that the mink got it was he also, I guess, was a lover, but he talks about blood being like the thing. So he actually got like a blood transfusion from, because he had AIDS.
Yeah.
And the true man was like, oh, I'll just give you some of my superpowered blood.
And we'll cure it.
And it'll cure you. Like, it won't cure you. You'll still have AIDS, but like, it won't matter because my blood will just recover you and you'll live like ungodly longer than you should. And so that's what happens. And then the other people found out about them being like having powers or being able to like live or whatever, and the judge, jury and the King Rad were like, we want him too. So I think they had to drink blood, in order to get. So they drank the mink's blood to get the powers, which is fucking weird and creepy. And yeah, so I mean they set that up, and like the main reason why things go bad in this. Oh, we'll hit on a couple of things that were like super fucked up in the storyline. One of the main things that was really fucked up was Judge Jury, brings Kid Vicious around to like fuck up some immigrants and stuff. And in that like brawl, it turns out that that the Asian maid or whatever that he knew before he was Kid Vicious was there.
Yeah, the one trying to befriend him, kind of.
Yeah, and he like finds her and he like picks her up for a second. He's like, "Oh my god, it's you!" And then like, it turns out he just like drops her because like Judge Jury's like, "Let go of that,"
racist term,
and like she's no good or whatever. And he just like throws her back in this like, I don't know if it's a lake of blood because of how many people died, or if it's just mud and water and shit and piss or whatever. I
assumed it was something like that, like because it looked like kind of like there was like a shanty townish area, and then like I don't know if, again, extra men or if it was like
so there was that, and then another thing that happens with Wild Boy is he like the new Wild Boy is like trying to save like one person from this like terrorist thing that's going on, like this terrorist thing. I don't know if it's bank robbery or if it's just terrorists in general, but they're just like we're gonna kill all these people and we're gonna blow them up. And he goes and he's only able to save one person, and the one person he saves, he's like, "Thanks for pulling me out of the building. You really helped. Like you're a hero." And then
it's a half a person.
Yeah, it zooms out and he's only half of a person. So he literally doesn't realize that he's dead, just like about to die.
Yeah, I guess it's like that adrenaline.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
So, but he only was able to save half the person, and then so it's just like all this super fucked up stuff. One of the things that happens is the old Chippy, after his face got melted and everything, was still alive, and he finally catches up to the new Chippy, and he like hands him his old mask.
And he's like, hey, and he's like, what? Who are you?
Yeah.
And like, what's going on? And then he pulls out his old mask. And he's like, oh, you were the Chippy.
And then when he sees that, he just like dissolves. Like he finally dies.
Yeah, he like turns into a pile of goo.
So it's like I didn't know why he was there necessarily, other than to be like this is going to be
you. This will happen to you.
Yeah, this will happen to you eventually.
But
it's like foreshadowing or something. So, but yeah, so that's just like the super fucked up things. Then we also find out that the mink made a deal with the new Chippy that, hey, if you want to be like me and be invincible and be a real hero, then you're gonna have to like do a lot more than just be my sidekick.
If you know what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying. So like literally they show him like in bed with the guy waking up, and he's like got a blood transfusion bottle on his side and one on the mink side. So they fuck and transfuse each other's blood so that he can live forever. So as of this moment, the only kid with, invincibility powers is, or like, I guess super healing and all that stuff is Chippy. And so, and then all the tops. So then like something happens where like this guy that was beat up and killed by, or his friend was beat up and killed by the tops, comes to one of their signings and he's like, fuck you, Chippy. And he stabs Chippy in the chest with like a crowbar. And then Chippy's like, I gotta get out of here.
I'm fine, guys.
Yeah, I'm fine. Don't worry. And then like, they're like, that was buried in your chest 6 inches. Like it definitely hit your heart. How come you didn't die? Then all the other kids are like against him. Like they're like, we want power too or whatever. And so that's basically where you find out, like, we get to the end of this, like, fucked up. It's only been a couple months too. I think it's only been like 3 to 6 months.
Yeah,
max.
3. Yeah.
So like we're basically at where the last heroes were at. That's why everybody was mad at Chippy at the beginning of this comic. The original Chippy is he was invincible because the mink apparently can't not make you invincible when he's fucking you or something. Like he just wants to, I don't know, give that away to you as like a leverage, so he can fuck you or something. I don't know. It's really messed up, but so that's like kind of where we're at, where like the other kids are like, hey, like we want that too, and they're kind of all disillusioned and everything too now because, as you can see, like they're just like we said, there's one scene where the Luna is like talking about getting pregnant, and as she's talking about being pregnant, she like is undoing a coat hanger. And is, like basically going to give herself a coat hanger abortion. It's just like, what the fuck? Like super fucked up. And then like the priest tries to kill himself and like all this stuff happens like that. Basically at the end of this, we find out like everybody's in a downhill, right? And then we're almost at the same point where the kids are now confronted with Doctor Blasphemy again, and Doctor Blasphemy is like, "Hey, there's something in this coffin for you. It's a present." And they're like Chippy's like, "Don't believe him, guys. Obviously, it's just another bomb or whatever." And they're like, "Are you sure? Like, maybe we should do this, we should just open it." And he's like, "Yeah, you should open it." And like Chippy's like, "No, wait." And he's like, basically Chippy, when he was getting beat up by the other kids, he saw like, oh, there's a detonator under it, and if we open it, then it's going to be a bunch of dynamite. And then so as they open it, like he disables everything, and then we find out that what's actually going on, they put like 2 and 2 together, is the bombs are judge juries. The blasting caps that set off the bombs are moon mistresses. The timers made by Panache Industries, which is King Rad's company, and like so like basically the tops, when they get sick of the kids or when the kids get too big or find out the secret where they can just drink the blood of this of Chippy and become immortal, or at least long living. They're like, oh, we need to kill these kids. So like that's what happened last time. So they're just like whenever they feel like.
Yeah, basically whenever they find out, like someone's got like powers, and how do they get powers? So, but then the only difference is, so Chippy's able to stop this, and he's like, okay, like this is how we're gonna do it. And like as he like diffuses and stuff, he like gets hurt, and his face gets like, if it's like acid on it, I guess like maybe there was some from.
I don't know if it's acid or what the fuck. It's just like it just looks like he's like all cut up. I think it's from the bottle, because he got smashed in the face with a bottle from the kids and stuff. Yeah, like when the kids were beating him up because they were like, "Tell us your secret. How are you able to survive that or whatever?"
Yeah,
he's like, "Fine, I'll tell you." And, it's the blood.
So I like the symbolism here, because they're in a church when they're confronting Doctor Blasphemy.
Yeah,
and so he grabs the like chalice that they do the communion with,
and he fills it up with blood.
Fills it up with his blood, and he's like, "All right, all of you drink from me.
Drink my blood, and you can all be immortal too." And as they're doing that, like a bomb then comes through the window, and it hits, and we see the 4 tops are like, "Got him, just in time." Too.
That was close.
That was close. They blow the church up. They're like, this group was smarter than the last ones, and so that's basically, we find out. That's what it was. That's why the kids died at the beginning. That was the mystery of who killed them. We find out Doctor Blasphemy is actually King Rad's butler.
Yeah,
and so like he's in on it too. Like he's just part of this fake act to kill the kids whenever they overstep their boundaries.
Yeah, Doctor Blasphemy goes away for all this time, and then he starts acting up to like get the kids noticed or whatever when they've done that, and then then they kill them.
Yeah. So it's like weird crazy shit. And then the very end, this is the only thing I was kind of like, this didn't need to happen. But to like wrap this up, what happens at the very end is the kids who I guess drank the blood just in time, they're still alive, but they're just like burning corpses almost. And they catch up to their tops, and the tops see them, and then they're like, "What? Something's wrong! Like we can feel tingling in our veins." And then like these corpses are like, "Us too!" And as they're about to like kind of grab their tops or whatever, we see who comes home, but True Man. True Man appears, and he's kind of like Dr. Manhattan.
That's a vibe I got too. And with a long ponytail, it made me think of the capoeira guy from
Bob's Burgers. Yeah, very much like that. But yeah, basically he just like is like, oh, I need all your powers back because I need them for myself or whatever. Yeah. So apparently he can just take it back.
Yeah, he said something like basically like you all took something from me, but by taking part of the power, and I guess maybe he didn't realize. I guess at the time that's the way I took it.
Yeah, I don't know why he needed it, or he's like, you each took something from me, I must have it back. And then he just like kills them all. He like puts the church bell over all of them
and squishes them.
And I think he like melts them or like cooks them alive.
Oh, that's right.
Because he like shoots it with his heat vision, and it's just like, super hot inside of it. So it's just like, what? Like, so he just murders all of them. And then that's the end of the comic.
That's the end.
So it's just kind of like leaves it hanging. And I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of weird. They didn't need to have that happen, I guess. But I guess they didn't want to leave it with these bad people.
Yeah, just winning,
everything. Yeah. So maybe it's just like, oh, now the True Man's back, so we're all good. Like, now the city will get back to being good again. Okay. I don't know. Who knows? And no more kids will get hurt. But yeah, so that's how it ends. It was a interesting read. It was something that you'll probably never read on your own without.
Yeah, this was never on my radar. Never heard of this.
No one ever heard of this. But this is basically like the first Boys, or the first, deconstructing. I guess it's the second after Watchmen, but like this is a more fun or funny version of Watchmen.
A more fucked up version.
When I say fun, I mean like Watchmen had a lot more serious tone.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more tongue in cheek, which is why it's more like The Boys, because The Boys has like that, oh my God, it's so fucked up. I'm laughing at how crazy and hyperbolic it is or whatever, but it's super fucked up. Like, I don't know if you have not read The Boys.
Nor watched any of the show yet.
Or watched the show. But there's a scene in the first episode where the guy who's the speedster runs through a person on accident.
Oh my God.
And they explode.
Oh my God.
And he's like, oh, I think I swallowed a tooth. And then he like goes back to running because he's like trying to save the day or whatever. Yeah. And it's like that's the kind of shit that happens in The Boys, which is very much like this. But this came way before that. So, it's a very interesting read, especially in the context of that. We should totally read The Boys. Maybe not next, but
but sometime
in the near future.
I'm down.
So and if you haven't watched The Boys, watch The Boys after we read it, obviously for you. Yeah. In the audience, feel free to watch The Boys. It's fucking awesome. So
that's part of the reason I haven't. And there's another one that's coming out on Netflix. You told me I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna do the trailer reaction for it. Was it Sweet what?
Sweet Tooth.
Sweet Tooth. Yes.
But that's not like a deconstruction thing.
No. I just meant like I'm gonna.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird superhero stuff coming out, like Jupiter's Legacy.
But I won't. Yeah, but I will read the comics with you first. So.
Yeah. So, So on that note, John, what did you think of it? What would you give this one?
So I like, even with you telling me kind of like what it was kind of about, I still did not expect like half, 3/4 of the things that happened in this comic. Like, it was intense. It feels weird to say like I liked it when there was
no, you can say that because it is tongue in cheek. Like, there's definitely a dark humor in this book.
Just it's I like a lot of like some of my favorite things as far as like movies or stuff are like there's some pretty like dark, twisted, dumb comedies. So, but it was really messed up. And like I said, I did not see some like, and the way the main hero characters, like especially Mink and Judge Jury.
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Those two were the worst for sure.
For sure. And like you said, the tongue in cheek, some of it was fun. Like how over the top Mink was as far as with his like suit and his like the Mink-mobile and the whatever the plane was and stuff. But yeah, I have not dropped my jaw like in almost a literal sense in a comic in a while, and that flying flaming cross,
yes,
that just took the cake. That was so ridiculous.
I'm glad we read this.
Yeah,
so you could.
So I have to say, like, obviously not one you give to just anybody.
Yeah, don't give this one to your grandma or your mom or your kid.
Or your
this is for your cynical, I'll say 18 to 27-year-old, like this is like your, or, you can read it after that, but like, just, it's, if you're older and you read it, you're like, oh yeah, I've kind of read this before. This is kind of like the Fight Club or something of comics, where it's like, it's all cynical. It's about like, if this was the first thing you read when you were like 17 of like an adult kind of comic, you'd be like, oh, this is the coolest comic ever or whatever. It's so radical or whatever, like it's so, subvertive and all this shit. And then you watch a bunch of other stuff. You're like, oh, this is kind of like the proto of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, I would say like maybe The Boys is better only because it's a story. So there's more storyline and stuff to get hooked into, whereas they
were able to hone and craft this idea and turn it into
and this is
form.
4 issues of like an
it's
idea.
A one-off.
Yeah, it's a one-off. It ends. It has like a quick, ending kind of thing, and that's it. Like it was just like a little vignette about. And I think the other thing about this is why it's so shocking is because it's the kids.
Yes,
and it also it's definitely a conversation about like all your favorite heroes that have children putting their life in the line, what that would mean for real, or what that would do to a kid. Yes, they would be alcoholics, or yes, they would, be getting pregnant early or whatever.
Yeah, they would be dealing with situations that kids should not have to deal with yet, and like get through them real quick because we gotta save the world or whatever.
Yeah. So it's definitely putting into question like why would Batman let this happen? Like why would Batman put Jason Todd in a position to get beat to death by the Joker? You know what I mean? Like, like how moral is Batman then? Like it makes you have questions about your favorite superheroes. And I take those questions and I push them back into the back of my head and then read the next Batman. And so, but it is fun to think about while you're reading this that like, it's very creepy and weird. And also just like, there's like that question. And then like the whole, I mean, he really goes hard in the paint in what is Batman doing with this child?
Yes.
Like why is this child living with Batman?
Why does he live in his house? Why does he sleep in the same bed? Or in
this he does. But yeah, like we don't ever see that.
Why is he wearing skimpy clothing?
Yeah, why does he make Robin wear, like and then when they draw him in this, you can literally see his dick in the underwear.
Yeah, you see the outline.
You see the outline of his dick in the underwear that he's wearing. So it's like there's nothing. And like I said, he's wearing like a said Fred mesh shirt. Like so it's like literally just the hyperbolic version of these things that, they bring up in some stuff. Even Frederick Wortham brought that up about some of these superheroes with sidekicks. He's like, obviously Batman's gay. He's got a child, or like not even gay, but like a pedophile. But yeah, that's some of the controversial stuff in this for sure. But I don't know. This brings up a lot of questions, a lot of weird stuff. Doctor Blasphemy is one of the most unsettling like bad guy designs with his tongue sticking out of that. It's the vertical zipper.
It is. It's the vertical zipper.
The vertical zipper is such a weird move. I don't get it. But like, yeah, like normally on a GIMP face, I mean, I'm not an expert, but like I'm assuming on like a BDSM mask, the zipper is horizontal. It's
horizontal and or
like your mouth is.
Yeah.
Whereas this is vertical. It just makes it. I think he did that just to make it look like a vagina or something, and it makes it look weird or whatever. It's definitely unsettling, and it's a very weird design.
And the tongue itself too, like he said, like it's not like
almost like Venom's tongue. It just comes out and it like way longer than it's like if Gene Simmons had this mask on.
Yes,
that's how perfect. Far you could stick your tongue out, like kind of thing. So really creepy. Speaking of, there needs to be a Kiss album. Where Gene Simmons? Where's this mask? On stage. It would be fantastic. Creepy. But yeah. Anyway, so what would you give it, John?
So overall, I mean, the art, like I said, like I was telling you explicit details on some of the panels because art was really good. Like it was very creative.
This is top talent. Like he's top talent at the time doing Swamp Thing and a bunch of other stuff.
So it's very creative with the character designs, and very. I mean, sometimes very explicit, obviously, but yeah, it was even for being in black and white. It looked really sharp. And everything looked good.
There's a lot of gray tones and everything in this.
Yeah,
a lot of detail.
Yeah, especially well, just one more note about like the cityscape that is set up so perfectly in this because it like when the characters are on there, the characters are vibrant and like sharp, and you can like tell all the details really well on them. But then even the background of where they are, like it always looks grimy and dirty and. Dusty.
Well, its name's Slumburg.
Slumburg, yeah. But it's such a good contrast, specifically having like most of the heroes when they're in their costumes are kind of squeaky clean looking anyway.
Yes.
So it's a good contrast.
Yes.
So this is very well done. And then the story is again like nothing I expected, even with how you like kind of told me about it.
I'm glad I couldn't even prepare you for that.
Yeah, no, not at all. Like every couple pages, like what the. Yeah, so I liked it. I'm not gonna go high as far as like it's definitely. I could probably see where you might go with the grade, kind of with your system with it. I will say like I don't know if I'm gonna read this one ever again.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like a read again one, but I would give this to someone else though. Like to read.
Oh, that's true. I might be like, oh man, you want to see some fucked up comic? Let's check this out. But like I did enjoy it. Again, the art is really good, and it was very unique and not like another reading experience I've had with comics. So I'm gonna give it an 8. Like it's a solid, out there, wild experience, and I'm there for it. Like it was good. Very problematic. No way this is being made today. But yeah, like it was very cool. It felt. You know what? This is like an R-rated Mel Brooks comic.
Yeah, like if Mel Brooks made a comic book movie today, it would be Brat Pack.
Yeah, like just because Mel Brooks, was always pushing the limit, and like he definitely like it. Like we can sit back and be like, oh man,
it
these
might be a
movies
little
are funny.
more campy or something. Yeah, but yeah, like a little more slapstick. But definitely, the tone of this is dark comedy. Yeah. But okay, you're gonna give it an 8. I appreciate that. That's higher than I thought you were gonna give it. But yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8 too. Okay. I think this is a solid book that I would give anybody who has read enough comics to know the allegories, right? Like to know like, oh, this is supposed to be Batman, that's supposed to be whoever, and then the ideas behind it are obviously like
if you're an average enough comic fan, I think you would understand all of.
I think most people who just read regular weekly comics would definitely get this.
Yeah.
And then if you haven't and you've just seen the movies now, I think you would get this too, because obviously the Boys showed, like the Boys being popular. If you've watched the Boys, read this comic. You'll definitely enjoy it, and you'll see like, oh, this is like the proto Boys. So like you definitely see that. But yeah, I'm going to give this an 8. Just it's groundbreaking, I think, for what it came out and what it is. It's wonderfully drawn, wonderfully written. Like I liked seeing the like, oh, like he saw Dark Knight and all those kind of things, and he's like, oh, like I can just tell this story through a radio host, and like and then like have my scenes and intercut these four different up and coming lads or whatever people. Or like kids, sidekicks with their respective top, and whatever happened that month or fucked up thing that happened, and then then next issue cut to 3 months later, radio guy saying more stuff. It was very. You can tell the format he came up with was a good way to tell it, a good way to show progression in everybody. And then by the last issue, you're like, Jesus Christ. Especially the one that got me was where Luna is sitting there talking about being pregnant again. and then having the hanger.
The hanger, yeah.
Undoing the hanger as she's talking. I'm like, oh my God. I forgot that was in this book. I read this book a long time ago, like maybe 15 years ago, and it was like a quick, read was like, oh, that was crazy. And then I think it was right around the time the boys came out, the actual boys. So like from Wildstorm, like the original printings of it or whatever. So like I read that fairly soon after this, or maybe read that first and then read this or something. Yeah. Maybe I was like, the boys is crazy. And then one of the guys I worked with was like, you should have read. If you think that's crazy,
should read Brat Pack.
Should read Brat Pack. So, and then, that makes sense. So, I'm going to give this an 8. You give it an 8. Man, it was a crazy comic.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
What did you think I was going to give it?
I don't know. I wasn't sure. I didn't think you would give it an 8. I thought maybe you'd give it a 7 or 6 or something. But.
Okay, I was leaning I'll say I was leaning towards like a 6, and I was like, no, it really is a good comic.
It is a solid comic.
It's just. Yeah, I just because of how messed up it is, and because of how like. Pushing. But I was like, but it's different because you're reading it for the art and for the because it was very there were a lot of cringe moments in this comic.
Oh yeah, but like
every couple pages.
Yes, but cringe in like a oh my God way. Not that's terrible.
No, cringe is like oh my God, I can't believe that I'm reading this. I can't believe this is happening.
Yeah, I can't believe someone wrote that. Yes, very much so. Anyway, next week we're going to read another Batman story called Batman Ego.
We are not the Batman podcast, but in particular,
we try to space them out.
Yeah, but there's a lot of, Batman has been around for a long time, and there's so many good stories from so many different people. And in this case particular, I didn't know anything about this one either, but then when Matt told me who wrote and drew it, I was like, let's do it.
Yeah, so Batman Ego is the name of it. And apparently this is the inspiration for the new Batman that's coming out.
Oh, cool.
Or one of them. It's like...
I knew they said Long Halloween too, I think, right? So it's...
Yeah, it's both of them. I think Long Halloween for the villains maybe or something, but this is, I think, it's supposed to be around year 1-ish time period and early proto-Batman.
That's cool. Awesome.
So, because I think it's Ego because he's young and full of piss and vinegar or something. But yeah, so
Darwin Cook.
Yeah, it is a shorter book, so the episode might be a little bit shorter, but or not. We might just talk. A lot about Darwin Cook and how awesome he is because he was amazing. R.I.P. Darwin Cook. We love you.
We can't say it. Cannot say that enough.
Yes.
So I feel bad that I'm learning more about it now after the fact. It's oh man, not that I didn't I loved Batman animated
series. You could have met him when it came. You could have met him like me.
I know. So.
I'm just gonna rub that every time.
Every time now.
Oh, did I tell you I met him? I had a conversation and he signed my book and everything. It was awesome. Anyway, so that's what we're gonna read next week. If you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestrains@comicbooks, all one word, @gmail.com.
And don't forget about our Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube channel for exclusive content. Matt's definitely starting to crank them out now, and I've got some in the pipeline, so keep an eye out.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of reviews and just, comic reviews, graphic novel reviews, manga reviews. We're trying to throw a lot of stuff out there.
Content, fun stuff.
Yeah, fun stuff. And then John's more on the media side, so he might be throwing out some
I think
trailer stuff,
reviews and stuff. Yeah, I saw there was a Venom trailer drop, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna wait, and we'll record that one.
Yeah, there you go. So, all right, we'll see you on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.